The Oscar nominations happened on Tuesday, and I have finally seen all 10 Best Picture nominees, so it is time to stop and rank them from worst to best. This year, we have a genuinely great lineup. There's not really what I would consider a bad movie on this list. I loved pretty much all of these films, so let's dive in. Let's just talk about some great movies. I really wanted to love Maestro, but unfortunately, I just didn't quite connect with it. It's not a bad movie per se, it just wasn't really my thing. I love the cinematography and the sound design in this movie. It's a really captivating sensory experience. And Carey Mulligan is fantastic in this movie. She is a huge standout and does a lot better in this movie than I think anybody's giving her credit for. But other than that, there's just not much else I have to say about this movie. I didn't really get a ton out of it. It's an okay movie that had the potential to be a lot better. I saw this movie by myself on opening night as a 23-year-old single male, and I had the absolute time of my life. This movie is just so funny and so entertaining. Even when I rewatched it at home by myself in my living room, I was concerned that these jokes weren't going to hold up, but they 100% did. I was laughing so hard in my living room. And on top of that, it's a really solid story, and it's really engaging, and it takes this movie from good to great. It can get a little preachy with its messaging, and its themes are definitely not subtle, but I don't know what else we expected. I mean, it's a Barbie movie, and it honestly just fits this film pretty well. Overall, it's a really fun time with a lot of great heart at the end, and it's a really easy movie to recommend for anybody needing a good comedy. It's not very often that you find a directorial debut that makes such a splash with its style and its voice, but Cord Jefferson and the way he writes and directs American fiction, it feels like it comes from a seasoned veteran. This film is extremely sharp and entertaining, and it also surprisingly has a lot to say. All the performances here are great, and the writing just really brings this film together. It is really strong. The ending of this movie also takes this huge swing, a massive risk, and it totally paid off for me. And it honestly helped me appreciate the film as a whole even more. It's entertaining, it's fascinating, it's thought-provoking, and definitely worth your time if you get the chance to watch it. Of all the Best Picture nominees this year, this is the one I want to rewatch the most. The premise alone is enough to keep you interested in this movie throughout its runtime, but what follows is so captivating and so interesting and so well crafted that you can't help but love it. This film has some of the strongest writing and performances from this year, and I love that Justine Triet got nominated for her directing. The way that she brings this film together is so masterful. I don't want to say too much else about this movie. It's just really captivating and is so interesting, and I can't wait to rewatch it because I feel like I'm just going to love it even more in my next watch. This is the really hard part about a ranking video of all really great movies because I have to put brilliant, amazing films like Past Lives at number 6. I love Past Lives, don't get me wrong. It is a touching, devastating, emotional journey with brilliant performances and brilliant writing and directing. The thing that worked about this film the most for me was that it made me consider all of the relationships and friendships that I have in my life, and it made me really consider a lot of the themes and the questions that these characters are asking themselves throughout the film. But while it's so thought-provoking and introspective, it's also just so beautiful, and the performances by Greta Lee and Teo Yoo really bring this film home. I really wish they could have gotten nominated. If you love a touching, beautiful story that makes you think, please don't skip out on this one. It is amazing. Poor Things is a lot. It goes in some wild directions, and it really keeps you on your toes with its story and themes, and the visual style of this film is just cranked up to 11. Everything in this movie feels big and fantastical, but there's something about this film that feels so grounded as well. It feels fantastical, yet so subtle and real at the same time. Emma Stone truly is the heart of this movie. Everything feels like it revolves around her brilliant performance, and I love that as an audience member, we kind of get to see the world through her perspective. And it almost feels like we're experiencing it for the first time, both in its beauty and its ugliness. It's just a really great film and totally deserving of all the nominations that it got. Martin Scorsese is my favorite director of all time, and so it's usually a layup when one of his movies come out, but this one especially is extremely touching. The performances he pulls from everybody, especially Leo, De Niro, and Gladstone, are just truly brilliant. They're masterful performances. This film is also just beautifully crafted. The cinematography, the editing, the writing, all of it is just so perfect and just comes together so well. I think the best part about this film is the ending, which I'm not going to spoil because it's brilliant and it really caught me off guard, but it makes you sit with the events of this movie and it really makes you feel the weight and the gravity and the emotions of the things that you just watched over the last 3.5 hours. Don't let that 3.5 hour runtime scare you. The film's pacing is so good. The editing is amazing. If you have 3.5 hours to spare, please don't miss this one. It is gripping and it's absolutely necessary. Upon watching The Zone of Interest, I was actually kind of shocked at the nominations that it got. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant movie and I love it and it's one of my favorites of the bunch, but it's such an experimental film and it's so unique that I'm surprised the Academy loved it as much as they did. That being said, this film is absolutely horrifying, but not in the ways that you would expect. This film is extremely thought-provoking thanks to its necessary sound design and editing. It's a film you truly have to listen to. The moments that hit you the most are the most mundane, and the perspective that this movie puts you in is absolutely horrifying, especially as you begin to realize that this movie is forcing you to look internally and to ask yourself the same questions you're asking these characters. It's one of the most unique and thought-provoking movies of the year, especially the ending, which hit me like a ton of bricks. I know it's super experimental and it's super unique, but if you have a chance, check it out. I think it'll be just as impactful for you as it was for me. Talk about emotional whiplash. I absolutely love just everything about The Holdovers. It's touching and heartwarming and charming. It is just absolutely fantastic. Paul Giamatti gives one of the most emotionally resonant performances of the year, and ever since I first saw it, it slowly crept its way up to being my favorite performance of the year. It is subtle and perfect, and it is just everything. I think Alexander Payne just brings a lot of warmth and heart to the story and these characters, and it's equal parts entertaining and moving, which is the perfect balance a film like this can have. I feel like I have nothing else to contribute to the conversation around this movie, but at the same time, I can't shut up about it. I'm going to sound like a broken record from my best of the year video, but this is just the cinematic achievement of the year. It is just so masterfully crafted, and with every rewatch that I have, I get more out of it, and I love it even more, which I didn't even know was possible because I love this movie so much already. It would have been very easy for Christopher Nolan to just tell this story from the objective perspective and to just kind of walk us through the story like a history book, but to throw us not only in Oppenheimer's subjective experience, but to also have this objective kind of third person viewing of the film, to have those both going on at the same time is a really brilliant move. It allows you to sympathize in order to at least understand Oppenheimer's character, but yet to also look at it objectively and understand every other perspective going on. It allows the audience to decide his morality for ourselves and to live in the horror of what he knows he just started. It is a genuine masterpiece, probably the best movie of Christopher Nolan's career, and if you haven't watched it yet, watch it ASAP. It is so good. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. How would you rank the Best Picture nominees? Which ones do you love? Which ones are you itching to see? I'm going to try and make some short form content here on YouTube, maybe start back up my TikTok. Who knows? But I just want to try something new. I want to take some ideas that I have that I wouldn't want to make full videos out of, but I know I can apply to YouTube Shorts. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.